Okay, everybody, welcome Joseph from Israel. Love to connect with you again through our mutual friend Laurent Favre in Geneva, and so many husbands here, some promoted to fathers, and then from fathers to sons to taking care of our own fathers, our own mothers. Those greetings to my S4, I think, in logistics in 63 SIB, Anthony Yo in the blue t-shirt. Hello to you. The Methodists are blessed by having a logistic genius in the midst of us. So David, make sure you deploy him and employ him properly. We were together in log school in Miami. Also to all my prayer partners for the daily 456, as well as my running coach, Dutch, who is teaching me to get into shape as a sort of a 59-year-old, getting ready for senior years and preparing my body and going through all the changes as well. So shalom to everybody, and just to start off with how we closed 2 sessions ago with Jen's brilliant sort of summary of, even though he only heard me for about 15 minutes or so, but he was able to put together. And so I'm going to use his outline tonight. And he asked the question, how can we use the 7 modalities to help or coach our children? And of course, some have not yet children. I mean, we're just husbands. Some have transitioned into being fathers. You know, we have children, and then some of us have become sons again to take care of our old folks and in their transition as they make Aliyah back home. There are these 7 aspects of our sons, and I do want to invite and follow up from what David was saying, to invite you and your son, or you and your daughter, your children, to come to our Geylang campus for diagnostics during Christmas. If you are free, you have some time, or come as a family. David and Jen and the rest, Jeff can set you up on that very easily, and do the diagnostics. It will take a couple hours, but you will have a head start because of this program. Okay, so this is what Jen was proposing at the end of the last session. He said, a father as prophet helps his son. Now, of course, it could be a mother helps his daughter, or a father helps his daughter. Not a problem. We're talking about Elijah fathers and Elijah mothers handing the baton over to the Elisha sons and the Elisha daughters, right? So this is not gender specific, but let's just, for the sake of saying now, for the fathering skin, a father as prophet helps his sons to discover and explore his elemental genius, okay? By decoding and defining his archetype. So this is the first of the 7 archetypes that your son or your daughter will have. It is a skin. It may not be, it is like an armor. It may not be his or her elemental genius, but it is an area that definitely the Holy Spirit helps our children to develop. And it is incumbent upon the father, especially, but both father and mother, to discern which of these 7 archetypes. So let's take a look at the 8 characteristics, the distinctive flavor, number 1, the interactions with the world. Number 2, number 3, future forecast. Number 4, leadership style. Number 5, approaches to problem solving. Number 6, how does he learn or she learn? Number 7, peer-to-peer. And then number 8, how does he recharge? Energy source, okay? So for the first one, which is PRO, which is the first 3 letters in the Greek word, which is prophetia, which is the discovery element in your children. Some have this extreme curiosity, out of the box, non-conventional, non-stereotypical type of thinking that gets lost in.
I make use of them, and in another way is that they are not.
That sort of gets lost in one's thoughts. Like many Christian scientists of the past, you'll be familiar with some of these names. Newton, who split up that singular light, white light, into 7 different forms. Again, that number 7 is very important. You find it from Moses in the tabernacle, to Jesus in the 7 churches, and then to Paul in the New Testament worship. The packaged, bundled together with this prophetia genius or archetype is this innate expression to broadcast what comes out. So this is really a weak spot of the child, where they need to write down, put all their thoughts down on paper and hold it in for a couple of months, perhaps a couple of years, before the dissertation really blooms and comes out in a very coherent way. Otherwise, the thoughts are a little bit scatterbrained. But the one of the distinctive features is, or distinctions, is the ability to connect the dots clearly in a way that's not obvious, and usually they're right. This is the gift of the eye. There are many gifts. We're going to look at the 7 parts of the body, but this one is of the eye. And what about it is that it's able to seize new territory, what they call blue ocean strategies, and swim away from the contested red oceans. The re-engineering, taking a part of existing and repurposing them for another purpose that is not obvious. This is the genius behind the prophetia, whether in male or female. Oftentimes they come out with new words, nomenclature that's very seemingly confusing, but there's always a method to their madness. So perhaps you have a child that is cloistered and in the cave, and basically doesn't seem to adhere to square logic, or the logic of, let's say, the school. Let's say, for example, Walt Disney, who was told by the art teacher, hey, you know, elephants don't talk. But that's Walt Disney, right? I mean, so the Singapore school system needs to adjust and be aware that a one-size-fits-all education doesn't fit all children, especially not this one, this particular archetype. Not all the children are like this, okay? You think of people who want to drive cars in space and explore the unexplored, okay? That's the kind of thing. So you go back here, the idea here is that as prophet, a father helps the son to discover and explore his elemental genius. And remember, there's a difference between the tulip and the bulb. So the bulb is elemental. The tulip is consequential, and it makes a lot of difference. We're not talking about training here. We're not talking about what we learn in a textbook or go to a specialized school to learn. This is innate, raw, indigenous talent. Okay, second question that Jen asks is, how can we use the 7 modality to help or coach our children? The second archetype was the diakonia. Remember in Greek, I told you about this. This one, the father as a priest shows his sons or daughters how to serve, okay, leads by example, how to serve with excellence, diakonia, as a servant leader. And as we look at the 8 different traits within a diakonia, you can see here as we mentioned before, these incredible teamwork of these experts or specialists. This is the gift of the hand. All right. This is the gift of the hand. Let's see if I can play this. 1.82 seconds. So you have this ability, especially in the kinesthetics. Howard Gardner, he talks about the 7 multiple intelligences of children and of adults. This one he calls the kinesthetic intelligence, not just of the hands, but body, hand, eye, everything, but particularly how you craft, this, you follow the plan, the flight plan as a commercial, for example, a commercial airline pilot that must follow the plan, even in the midst of emergencies. There is a plan for everything. And those who are able to anticipate even problems from A to Z in outer space, it takes a certain sort of a mindset or a frame. Again, it's not learned. This is innate in the child from its mother's womb. So this is the father's design from the mother's womb. You can see it expressed in anything artisanal, okay? Whether it is the way that you do athletics with your body and set new world records, or whether it's a chocolatier or a boulangerier, or someone who has very artisanal baking of bread and high value luxury goods, watches, Swiss watches, and other things like that. And then of course, when they all get together, all these same type of people come together, they compete, they're highly competitive, and they win. I don't know whether Dutch would be, my coach, my running coach, would be in this category, a Singapore national, bodybuilder and all that sort of thing. It's just the way that the genetics is released from the father's, the bosom of the father. It's just the way that you are. It's not how you train. Of course, training will bring the best out of that, but it's just the way that you are born this way. And not everybody is like this, the diakonia gift. It doesn't matter, even if you have handicaps, this pursuit of excellence. So once again, when you are talking about father as priest, here it shows his son, by example, how to serve with excellence. The key to diakonia is always excellence. And it does create a kind of a rivalry and competition and sometimes envy in other people, but it's that, you'll get your haters and your naysayers, but you can't help it. It's just the way it is. And if your son or your daughter is falling in this category, it's a wonder to behold. As the flower unfolds, it will show great genius in that particular specialty area. That's why we call these people specialists. Okay, the third category is that of the DID-DA-SKO. And you can hear it in the English already, a didactic. So a father, as an educator, teaches his sons or daughters to hear the father's voice and instantly obey. This is the gift of the ear, the gift of the ear. And when you look at the breakdown in terms of the genetics or the characteristics or the archetypes, you can see that the DID-DA-SKO has a certain flavor, right? Whenever they are around, they break down very complex matters into something very, very simple. And they impart values for 100 years. They're not 5-10-year vision. These people are like teachers, the educators, professors, school principals, this sort of thing. They monitor a vast array of different inputs and outputs, audience sensitive, and they break down complex matters. A simple thing like 1 ball in the air, 2 balls in the air without colliding, 3 balls in the air. They break it down. And of course, through lucid distinctions, okay? So there's a logic that is systematic and comprehensive that sometimes ensures or will ensure a complete understanding and encyclopedic based on this encyclopedic knowledge. It is like a logic that is irrefutable. And once you get a hold of this doctrine, or Wikipedia calls it disambiguation, then it produces great wind or power. That's why Paul says, don't be tossed by every wind of doctrine. Doctrine does this, okay? And so what happens is that muddied waters in any issue whatsoever, it's because we don't have enough input. Anytime you have a division in a church or issues, let's say about vaccination or non-vaccination, it's because we don't have enough input. And then we can once we have enough information, so we need to have the didactics to step forward and explain things and calm things and heal divisions and bring the knowledge, sufficient knowledge to bear on situations that will guide us up the mountain. And we really do need that kind of guidance. So some of your children, sons and daughters, they may have this area. It's not just to become teacher, although that could be a career, but we're not talking about careers. Now we're talking about elemental genius. Noah Webster would be a good example where these people write dictionaries and they categorize everything, systematize ideas. Francis Schaeffer would be another thinker in this category. Thought leaders, a Jewish guy by the name of Jacob Bronowski. They can synthesize easily a great number of ideas and bring to bear on the problems that society faces. So once again, the father as an educator teaches his sons or his daughters to hear the father's voice and instantly obey. That's the gift of the ear. Okay, so that's number 3. Number 4 is that of the PRO-PHE-TI-EA. So the father here is as a coach, enabling your sons, your daughters to finish what he starts and build the bridges needed for others to come on board. This is, Gardner calls this the linguistic cultural intelligence. And we have this every child has this intelligence, but some will be extremely, extremely gifted and talented as a coach, actually. And in a way, every father has to encourage. All right, so PRO-PHE-TI-EA means encouragement. And a good example in the Bible would be Barnabas. All right, I don't know whether Joseph Magen might have this either as a hat or a genius, elemental, I'm not sure. But someone who can integrate a great number of people, especially, these are the persons, and they are coaches. They make you laugh, they make you cry, they speak from experience. There's no excuse, after hearing their story, you're encouraged to finish your journey. You make new friends, you bond with, you have all the colors of the rainbow at your disposal. There's a winning smile about what you do. It's full of dialogue, inclusivity, and inclusion. And, there's no stupid idea. And, they are the coaches. For example, in this case, the black dog would be coaching the brown dog, building capacity and, helping to give an answer to the question, what makes life worth living? And why is tomorrow better than yesterday? These are strategic elements, consultants, for example, in organizations that come around and they scaffold the building. And then once the project goes up, the scaffolding comes down and they go on to another project. Okay, so once again, the father as a coach enables his child to finish. Now, when I say son, it could be spiritual son as well, okay? So it enables his son or daughter to finish what he starts and build bridges needed for others to come on board. That's the paraclectic genius. That's number 4. Now, number 5, the father as king or monarch. It could be king, could be queen, all right? Mother as queen, right? Guides his sons to think long-term, okay? Not only bread for the eater, but also seed to the sower. The Greek word for this is metadidomi. The genetics behind it, or the divine makeup, has to do with organizational genius. This is the economist, okay? And this is the vertebrae, okay? The paraclectic one, the one earlier I was talking about, the relational one, that's the gift of the tongue, the mouth. This one's the gift of the vertebrae, or the backbone or the spine, and a bit of it which goes into the head is called the neck, and it turns the head. It's in charge of internal controls, organization, maximization, giving shape, not just money, seed to the sower. It gives shape to society. Didomi in Greek means to give, all right? There's long-term mahogany, 100-year kind of a vision, all right? And sort of in a Christian context, able to, or in a human context, able to harness the talent capital, the raw talent of a person, and really bring out his or her features from the nameless, faceless crowd by organizing priorities, what is important, restructuring, sorting out, and categorizing everything. And then when you get a whole bunch of these metadidomies together, they form the something like the Florentine Camerata, for example, that all these artists and artisans and wealth creators, they came together to create a new art form called opera, which is still around, Italian opera, which is still around today, or indeed these labels that you have in vineyards and so on and so forth. These are real wealth creators and curators as well of resources. The basic idea is that if you open up an umbrella, you can't see the umbrella, and you're not supposed to. The umbrella covers your head. It's a kind of like a roof over your head. And that's how you know you have a metadidomic in your house. So basically, if you know, as king or as queen, as monarch in your family, you guide your sons to think long-term. Now, not every son will be an economist, but some are. Some will have this element as an elemental genius, but you can still learn this. It's part of the multiple intelligences that God has given to each of us. But there'll be some that have this economist sort of capability, organizing genius. All right, the sixth is father as warrior. Now, as a warrior, you lead your sons to accomplish the mission at all costs, and you bring the team to victory This is the pro-istemic, that's why it's IST, it's pro-istemic genius, all right? And it's quite easy to recognize this one. For example, in the ad that Shackleton put out for polar exploration, men wanted hazardous journey, small wages, bitter cold, long months of complete darkness, constant danger, safe return, doubtful, honor and recognition in event of success. And of course, why he was knighted was Sir Ernest, was because though he failed in his mission, his boat was completely destroyed by the ice. He brought all his team back home safely. So translation into the that kind of entrepreneurial spirit that breaks from the core, it expands. So this is the expansionist. This is the head. This is the part of the body is the head. And they are very good at galvanizing the team together and understanding the vision, timeliness, and look at the size of his signature is very big. Everything about him, right? Go big or go home. And the idea of briefings, debriefings, I don't know, maybe David will have a debrief after this meeting. They're always having briefings and debriefings, and all right. And not just men too. I mean, you might have a daughter who's like the next Iron Lady, very sweet, but on the outside, but inside hot as nails, and you don't mess around with her. The idea is groundbreaking, all the time, breaking through, something like that. Okay, so this is really as a warrior. The other one was more like the scepter. This one is more of the sword. Okay, and as the sword, it's leading your sons to accomplish a mission at all costs and bringing the team. It's all about the team for the pro-istemic genius. And then the last one is a father as mentor. Father as mentor. Models for the son. What it means to be a man after God's heart. This part is the heart, compassion, empathy. In the talent strengths finder, they talk about one of the 34 talents or strengths they call is empathy. Well, the Bible recategorizes all of those into these 7 archetypal, elemental, indigenous gifts. The genetics of it, or the way it's structured, or its DNA, its default natural abilities. All right, remember, we're not finding faults here. We're looking for defaults, not faults. All right. So we're talking about the MVP. In rugby, it's the positionless position. He doesn't care about position. He just wants to rescue the team from losing. And that's the reason why they're all over the field. And the basic idea of empathy and compassion, a friend. You think of a friend, what a friend we have in Jesus, that sort of thing. It's a Messiah with a small m. It's a savior with a small s. Not everybody is like the Good Samaritan, but there will be some of the sons and some of the daughters in your family, in the church, in the nation, that will shine in this area of the heart. It's not their fault, it's their default. All right, you think of Desmond Doss in Hacksaw Ridge. You think of the whole concept of mentoring. Another one, let me take you by the hand and lead you through the streets of London, that famous song there. These are the people who are involved in loss protection. They go into a burning building and pull out the babies, or jump into the pool and save the drowning person. They're really good at orientating new people into an organization. That's on the job training. They do not like a hierarchy whatsoever. Everything is flat, and they're very good as an associate. You think of many, let's say, for example, the women's cosmetic movement was based on this associates concept, non-hierarchical. Mary Kay Cosmetics, or even the Tupperware movement. It's very flat organizational. Of course, the Greek word for this is eleemosynary, or it's from the Greek word elios, which talks about removing, alleviating suffering, offering direct assistance to victims in trauma. So once again, as a father, as a mentor, models for his son or for his daughter what it means to be a man after God's heart. And that's really what you see in terms of David. All right, so father as prophet, priest, educator, coach, king, warrior, mentor. This is it's a tall order. That's why you can be good as a husband, but poor as a father. You can be good as a father, but bad as a son, taking care of that. So the goal in this fathering skin is to ensure that you are fully competent as a husband to your wife, your one wife, monogamy, and then you are fully competent as a father, and then as a son to your aging parents, and so on and so forth, and to your community. Okay, so that's all I have for you today. If you have any questions before we break out into the small groups, David, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Pastor Gerard. If you find this session extremely heavy, substantive, and rich, you're in good company, because I personally have taken maybe like 6 months to go through all these various teaching and details just for my own exploration of how God has given to me. So if you feel a bit lost tonight, you're in good shoes. You're in a normal boat. For those of us who were not here 2 weeks ago, what Pastor Gerard has expounded is really taken from the 3 verses in Romans, from Romans 12, 6-8, where God inspired Paul to write about these 7 gifts that God has given to everyone. So you will find you having one of these gifts, which is co-related to one of these 7 modalities. Also, we are very thankful that we have it recorded tonight. So if you want to have the recorded version, it's going to be made available. But a substantive and rich topic like this can't be easily consumed and digested within half an hour. So you have heard about Pastor Gerard's offer to just see if there's anybody who wish to just go deeper in this. He's made his availability to all of us. But maybe after this, if there's further further expression of interest, we will take a note of those who wish to just explore more. So for you brothers, if you wish to just want to explore this a bit more, drop me a text, drop Daniel a text, and if we can have enough numbers to kind of like form a class and all that, then we will check with Pastor Gerard what's the arrangement. So yeah, but I think what he's given us this tonight is really a teaser. And a nice one, for me, I've gone through the thing. I've discovered so much about myself, so much of God, so much of where God is placing me, and what are the things that I can perhaps do well in terms of exercising the gift that God has given to me, and really do not do the things which I'm not gifted with. And that is really so key for me. For me, just among brothers, after I've gone through this, I realized that God didn't call me to be in the priesthood ministry. So for one time, I was this close to signing the dotted line to be a pastor in our church. So, but anyway, that's just my story. But I believe even as you discover your different gifts, you will discover deeper how God has made you, and more so the beauty of how God has made you, the beauty of the gift that God has given to you. I just want to open up this time for Q&A for Pastor Gerard while he's here. Well, nothing prevents you from contacting him post the meeting. I know of a few brothers who have already made attempt to be connected with Pastor Gerard since 2 weeks ago. So brothers, any question, any things that you want to just check in with Pastor Gerard, please feel free.
I just have one question, and that is, do you have multiple ability in this 7 category? Do you have some like the one on leadership? As I see it, a leader is also a good model, or expected to be a good model too. Yeah. So is there more than one kind of traits that this person can possess?
Yeah. Great question. Thank you, Mr. Lee. We are talking about multiple intelligences and multiple archetypes. They're like the 7 hats. I think the person who wrote that book, actually, can't remember his name, but anyway, I think he DeBono, yeah, Edward DeBono. Many of these seculars, they saw slithers of this. And of course, the Swiss psychoanalysts, they completely ripped this from the Bible. So what I'm trying to do is to restore the biblical perspective of psychology so that we understand that the soul has an elemental genius. But through education, through association with our fathers, our mothers, teachers, principals, etc., voices of popular in the media and voices of value in society, we take on different armor. And we have to remember, the armor is not the man. The iron is not the man. No matter what technologies we use to extend ourselves or to, make ourselves stronger than we really are, what we are on the inside is key, that the Bible talks about as a husband, as a father, as a son. And these are delineated for us already in terms of our genius. So the question is, can we have more than one? The answer is definitely we can have all 7 hats as hats, but not as elemental. And how we know it's not elemental is because it's like what Paul says, the hand cannot say to the eye. Those are 3 modalities there: the hand, the mouth, and the eye. The hand cannot say to the eye, I have no need of you. So the hand must be 100% hand so that the eye can be 100% eye, and the mouth needs to be 100% mouth. So now, does it mean that we can't go to business school to learn how to be an economics or metadidomy? Does it mean that we cannot pay hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars to, let's say, who's that guy who told us to walk on fire and at the Suntec City? I can't remember his name.
Anthony Robbins.
Yeah. He owns an island, and everybody lao hao soy whenever he talks.
Yeah.
Well, that guy, you can be a leader, you can learn how to lead, but it's going to cost you. But if that's not your elemental, you will be burned out. That's what burnout is. You're trying to be somebody that God never created you to be. Now, how does a fish seem to endlessly have energy? Well, if you take the fish out of the water, it will not have energy. It will be introverted pretty soon, and it'll be tired out and die. And that you need to find your element. So that's what this course is all about. It's finding what your element is and then flowing in it. So in your children, we tend to want to give them an all-round education, and that's fine at the lower levels. But once they hit 30, as what the Bible says, when the tree falls, there it lies. So typically when children reach around 30, in their 30s, okay, they normally will have already found, are they more the hands of society, the eye of society, the heart of the society, or what, with the exception of the Elios. The Elios will be just what we call the MVP, or the wild card in poker. You don't play the wild card just anyhow. You save the wild card for the winning hand. And eleemosynaries, generally speaking, unless early on they join the church as a nun or a priest, normally they will find it very difficult to fit into society, and they will look like they are job hopping. They may have like 12 jobs within 2 years or something like that. It's not, because it's their modality is such that they only find their flow when they are in a rescue situation. So A&E, paramedics, that sort of thing, a little bit dangerous jobs, they would love to, that's where they come alive, and where the critical final penalty kick wins the game, that kind of thing. They love that adrenaline type of jobs. Other people don't like that. And if you're trying to be that, you're misplaced. And that is the main reason for Monday morning blues, because you're in the wrong job. And why you have to be very careful when you take courses like this is because, I have to warn you in advance that there may be adverse reactions. That's why I always tell people, don't quit your day job immediately. Listen to this, let it sink in 6 to 8 months, confirm which one. Also to your point, Mr. Lee, about can you have more than one? When you look at a guitar that's got strings, there's A string or the B or the C or the E or the F or whatever. There's 7, keys. The A must be 100% A. Otherwise, the B or the C is out. So everyone must play their natural tone. It's like a tenor should stay, I can speak like this the whole day, but then I'll get a sore throat, right? It's not the bass is not my thing. Tenor is. Some people are soprano, some people are alto. So same thing like that. Human society, why it's so messed up and the job market is messed up, it's because, and even the church, it's because we are trying to be somebody that we're not.
So there is a dominant role and at the same time a comfortable zone that fits each and every one of us. Is that the main key there? Yeah.
Yes. Try
to
find out if you're an onion, you should be cooked. You're sweet, you will taste, you will flavor other foods. But if you're a tulip, you can't eat tulips. It looks like an onion. A bulb, an onion and a bulb of the tulip bulb look the same in the market, but the tulip has a different function. Both are subterranean, both are tuber type roots, but the tulip is for ornamental purposes and beautification or whatever, but the onion is to be cooked and eaten. So there's different purpose for each child that we have, and we cannot treat them the same as the others. Yeah, we have to recognize each of the genius within every child that we have. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, Pastor George. I just want to ask, and Adrian here, I've gone through Men of Impact by Campus by Crew about 2 years ago, and what you have shared is very similar to the principles that they are espouse, right? Being yourself, walk empowered by the source, energize your core values, activate your personal mission, refocusing your life, live intentionally, and impact for life. So, at the end of this course that you do, my question is, what is the outcome? Besides finding out your core design that God our Father created me for example, right? What is the outcome basically? So that we find who we are created for and what is our mission in life.
It depends on your modality. For example, the diaconia, which would want to know what is the end,
right?
What's the plan?
Yeah.
And so without the plan, without the guide rails, without the steps, from A to Z and contingencies along the way, it would be very difficult for a diaconia to really shine. But once they do they jump into it and they spend that 10,000 hours, swinging the golf club or throwing the basket, doing hoops, whatever it is. And so different people, the end point will be different. That's why the book of Revelation is so confusing, because different people read it with different modalities. It doesn't mean that there isn't a single truth. It just means that that if you're an I, you are continually discovering things. If you don't like to be told, you don't want the plan. In fact, you'll trash the plan. Any plan, in fact, you're the one coming out with the manifestos for everybody else to radicalize everybody else.
Right.
That's what turns you on. So you are the plan. For the diaconias, they are not at 38,000 feet. They are at ground zero. And don't bring me to meetings. I don't like meetings. Just tell me what to do. They're really good with and before you can halfway tell them what to do, they already know what to do. They're just really that good. They become indispensable in any organization. For the teachers, of course, they just don't want a slither of the truth. They need to have the entire, codify the whole truth and nothing but the truth, and encyclopedic knowledge, that sort of thing. So for them, years and years of study and research and that kind of thing, that really gives them that sense of authority when they speak. Whereas the paraclectic, the mouth gift, they're completely turned on when within 2 minutes, when they start talking with another person face to face. And I guess paraclectics would really be very hard put during a COVID situation where you remove social interaction. They're very, very social creatures. And give you an example of a social person, like, when if a paraclectic person is talking, they go like this, they go ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, and then suddenly, blah, 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 they're talking all the time, blah, 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 and then suddenly, ding, the light bulb will come on. And it's the reverse for a PRO-PHE-TI-EA. PRO-PHE-TI-EA, they're in their cave, suddenly, ding, they come, and then once they're, they blah the whole thing out. So that's the blind spots of all of these different geniuses. But you can manage it. Copernicus, for example, he said, publish my work on the day that I die, because he knows he's going to get into a lot of trouble with the authorities should he be telling people the truth. And so for metadidomy, for example, what's the end for a metadidomy? It's ROI. It's all about return for investment. It's all about input, output. It's all about gain of function. It's all about investments and blue chip. And, that's what it is. And failure for a metadidomy would be no return for investment or poor return for investment. So the end game, let's say for the leader, of course, is victory, is winning, is crushing your opponent. That's the end game. Of course, do it in style and with gentlemanly and all that sort of thing. But basically, is winning. And the end game for an Elios is rescuing, really rescuing and serving humanity and actually, if they could, they're the ones who would lay down their life for you. They would take the bullet for the president, that sort of thing. And so it's hard because these gifts are not, they're put there by the Father. This is the Father's glory or the Father's design from your mother's womb. So Heavenly Father is so directional. And so it's very hard to say, but all we can know is that when we all function together in society, especially in a church that understands who we are, no one's jealous of anyone, everybody's just humming along swimmingly, getting along with your gift, then it's kind of like a harmonics or a harmony or a unity that flows down from Aaron's beard, something like that.
Yeah, so
Thanks,
synergy.
Pastor Ju.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Synergy is a good word.
Synergy. Yep.
So
you.
coordinated movements
Mm.
of different rivers producing a single outcome for society.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess it's a extremely very extremely substantial topic, which I'm sure we will not cover everything tonight. And and that's what Adrian is saying. There's a lot more question coming up, but of course, this is not the last minute that the last time we'll see Pastor Gerard. He's opened up his availability, and certainly happy to be in contact. I thought we just want to spend the last few minutes just praying. And one of the great key things about understanding this is about understanding the parenting dynamics that you can have with your wife as far as your children is concerned. How that is expressed, it's too long to just describe. But one of the things that's helped me and my wife, Amy, is that it helps us to understand why are we good in certain things and why are we not good in other things. And we don't have, when we understand that, right, we don't have to beat ourselves up for not being good in those things which we are not gifted for. And having that self-reconciliation is wonderful. And of course, then when you operate in your gift, then you want to play that role as far as parenting is concerned. But it applies to all sorts of relationship. A marriage relationship, your relationship with your parents, your relationship with co-workers, how you work in a team, so on and so forth. So it's extremely precious. I'm thankful that Pastor Gerard bring that across, to us this evening. I just want to encourage us for the last 5 minutes, each and every one of us. I've got to just, pray for your wife and pray for your children, because, well, at least we didn't get the chance to break out into our groups, but we want to leave tonight having said a prayer, because every prayer ushers the presence of God into the people that we pray for.